Taxand, for this invitation to address you. And I would like to start by declaring some tax experience in my life, a part of the fact being, as everyone, a taxpayer. I'm a former official of the Italian Specialized Financial Police, and during my work experience within the European Commission, I was for some years, beginning of the 90s, head of staff of the commissioner at the time in charge for taxation. But the topic today I would like to address you concerns the impact of the global financial crisis on the European Union and notably on the evolution of EU law. Broadly speaking, the first element to be borne in mind is that the financial crisis within Europe had a different impact compared to the same phenomenon within the United States, and the typical effect within Europe was the sovereign nature of the economic crisis. So from another element which is unfortunately in common with many other parts of the world is that trust among citizens, between citizens and the financial system, between citizens and the institutions, was deeply undermined. And within Europe, which is still an ongoing construction, the lack of trust is one of the most dangerous elements for the integrity of the euro area and of the European Union. At that time, the crisis in Europe was essentially a financial crisis affecting the banking system with a lot of systemic danger, a bit likewise what happened in the United States and in other parts of the world. However, quickly the second phase of the crisis arrived, and this covers the years between 2010 and 2011, a sort of terrific 2 years period during which the different intervention carried on and implemented at the level of each country government in Europe brought the annual deficit and the global debt to increase, precisely in order to rescue financial institutions from bankruptcy. The sustainability of the debt in countries where the deficit and the debt increased because of the crisis, like United Kingdom, like the Netherlands, like Spain, like Ireland. In these countries, the phenomenon was new, and the sustainability of such a big annual deficit, such an increased stock of debt was put into question. So in front of this second phase of the crisis, the usual instruments were not sufficient to face in a valuable way the effect of the crisis. So new instruments were introduced. The first was to strengthen the so-called Stability and Growth Pact, which is the operational rules, the operational vademecum of the euro area, and to be quite tough on the respect of the different requirements. But this was also not enough, because most of that was based on, let's say, recommendation or moral suasion. So in October 2011, 6 new EU regulations were introduced, known as a six-pack. The third phase is a phase where the idea of more severe, more rigorous rule was put together with, and you have already heard about that, with the goal of growth and employment. And this third phase covers the years between 2013 and 2012 and 2013. Several measures were adopted from a legal and a political point of view during that time. The first I'd like to mention is not a decision, is more a political initiative. It was undertook by 12 member states of the European Union and of the European Monetary Union. And it was a letter signed by 12 prime ministers and focusing on growth and employment. And this letter, February 2012, was a sort of turning point because it was precisely the startup of this new policy to looking more at growth and employment rather than only at the rigor of the rule, recommending the transatlantic agreement with the US and then with Canada as another element essential for growth, recommending tax coordination and common initiative to face tax fraud and tax evasion and elusion. So this Pact for Growth and Employment is a cornerstone of the EU policy from 2012.